So, we're back after a quick biscuit break and more tea. Take that, Sharon. Cool. So this time I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay. Fire away.
So, what was the one thing that you I don't know how to say it. What was the one thing that was fake in witchcraft that you found?
Flying on broomsticks. I think I get actual daily messages from people asking, can I fly on a broomstick? I'm like, not without drugs. Seriously though, but in years and years ago, the idea behind flying on a broomstick was that the broomstick would be anointed with certain oils and hallucinogenics, and that was the idea behind the flying, because you were actually kind of drugged up and high on that, that combination of drugs. So then witches would be seen flying or supposedly riding their broomsticks around fields to bless them for, a good crop and, a good harvest and things like that. It's not done anymore, and a lot of the hallucinogenics are obviously quite dangerous and, quite toxic, and it's just not done anymore, guys. So I'm not encouraging that whatsoever. But that's what it was, and traditionally, if you have a broom as well, it wouldn't be the long bit of wood and then the bristles. It would be the other way around. So your bristles would be up, and again, it was quite a sexual thing as well, because the idea behind the bristles up is you've got the male end and the female end of the broom, so you're displaying the phallus, which is hidden underneath the bristles of the broom.
Oh, cheeky.
Yeah, so there was lots of different reasons behind the broom, and obviously I did a lot of research on it, and was saddened to find that we can't ride on broomsticks. We can't actually fly. But I do get asked that a lot though. Can I fly on a broomstick? No.
Air travel would be so much quicker. Who needs a plane? I'll just fly myself.
Yeah, just get on my cheeky broom and out the door and away I go.
Oh, if only. You've not taught me that ability yet. So. Okay, so what have been your favourite subjects?
Favourite subjects? I love divination. Divination is such a massive subject, and there's so many different ways to do everything in it as well. I'm really good with tarot and oracle, but there's some really unusual divinations that I've learned over the years as well, like scrying with water, using the black mirror, tea leaves, which is called tissiomancy. So there's some really interesting different techniques to use divination, and you can use them on the go as well. You can use divination by picking out 3 clouds in the sky and actually looking at what shapes they are, deciding upon a shape, and then thinking to yourself symbolically, what does that shape or that pattern or that animal represent, and then give yourself a reading. You can drop petals or apple peels on water, and again, watch for signs and symbolism. You can do divination with incense smoke. There's just so many different ways to do divination, and you can do it so subtly in your home without anyone even realising that's what you're doing. And that's what I love about it, and you can learn so much about people and their energies and their life, and you can make loads of predictions as well. And I often do this. I'll often make predictions and I'll write them in my phone, because obviously your phone keeps it dated the day you've written it and saved it, and then you can go back into that and go, did that happen? Did my prediction come true? And you can test yourself. And that's something I do on a regular basis as well. So divination is definitely one of my favourite subjects, and spell casting and crafting is probably my second. Spell crafting is, every spell you design is completely unique to you as the caster, and I always recommend people to write their own spells where possible, because they're always more powerful. They're always designed to your style of witchery, and when you design a spell, no 2 spells are ever the same. The ingredients are always completely unique, and you can design different incantations or one incantation and then design a spell format around that incantation, so that you've always got the incantations you need, but the spells are always unique because you're doing them in different ways. So that's why I like it. So versatile. And then my last favourite type of witchcraft is definitely sigils. I use sigils all the time. I draw them on the skin, on my body, I burn them, I melt them, I freeze them, I draw them in my food when I'm stirring in sauces, when I'm making things. There's all sorts of different ways that I use sigils, and I have done a sigil video, guys, so there's one out there if you want to watch it. But yeah, that's an amazing subject. It's so easy. Again, it can be inconspicuous as well, so no one knows you're doing it, and you can hide sigils all over your home for all sorts of different things. And there's a sigil for everything these days. So yeah, sigil magic. I love it.
Okay, so this is one I wasn't going to ask. Least favourite.
Least favourite subject. I don't know, it's quite a tough one. It used to be alchemy, because I found alchemy quite boring, but these days I really like alchemy because of the different elements and things you can mix together and what you can make based on that. And a lot of my alchemy techniques these days are making potions and lotions, and that can be really interesting, especially for home herbal blends and witchcraft and anointing your candles. So I do use alchemy a lot more now than I used to when I was younger. I used to just buy oils when I was younger and just use anything, but now I make all my own from scratch and incorporate all my own energies into it, and that's been really fascinating. So, you know, alchemy not so much anymore, but yeah, I used to hate that so much. I think the subject these days that I'm not really that keen on, no, I don't know actually, I use that one. I don't know, it's quite a hard question, I'm not sure. A subject I hate in the craft. I don't know. I suppose I like researching, but it depends on what I'm researching. So if I'm, you know, looking at, you know, deities and all the different gods and goddesses and trying to incorporate a new one into my circle, that can be quite tedious because you're looking at all the pros and cons of that deity, and you have to look at so many different sources as well. And everybody has a different opinion on that deity and the energies that they incorporate into anything spiritual. So that can be quite tedious, and that can, you know, I can lose interest quite quickly. There are a few books on certain subjects that I've been reading lately as well, which I found extremely boring, one of which lately put me to sleep. So, so reading some new information can be quite a negative. I'd say it would be a positive because I enjoy reading books. I've got a huge library, but some subjects I've been studying lately has been so awful. I wish I hadn't have started it, to be honest. And I'm surprised I forced myself to finish one particular book because it was that boring. I actually started skipping pages and still understood what was in the book because it was that dull.
Yeah, I know how much you like reading, so hearing something like that.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. Like, yeah, it's a negative.
Okay. Exciting and not so exciting parts of the craft.
Exciting is seeing the results of your work and actually manifesting something that you have worked on for quite a while. That's really exciting in the craft, and it's really, you know, it's a good indication that you're on the right track and that your magic is working and you're successfully able to manipulate energy, so that's definitely exciting. Not so exciting though is the constant focus on that goal and remembering to stay positive throughout it all, and that is really, really super difficult, guys. If you're even so much as you have a negative thought, or you know, you slip up one day and you start self-doubting, then what happens is all that good work that you've been doing starts to unravel because you're vibrating back on your old frequency instead of the one that you've been working on. So I think the focus, that can be really difficult and can come across quite tedious as well, and I think that's why people give up, because they don't feel they're manifesting what they want, because it's not going to happen in a day. You need to work at it over and over, and yeah, that can be the not so great part.
What's one subject that you've been obsessed with for a while?
Oh, crystals.
Yeah.
I have such a gigantic crystal collection. It's so big I actually have it insured because it's worth a lot of money now. I am obsessed with crystals. Crystals are quite literally all over my house, as you know. They're in every single corner. I even have them in my bathroom. I have them everywhere. I wear them. I work with them every single day. I usually have one in my bra. I don't today, but usually I do. You know, I'm wearing it as jewellery, as charms. I use them in pouches. I use them for focus. I use them for manifestation, meditation, absolutely everything. I recently just purchased actually a gorgeous quartz crystal frosted singing bowl. You know, I mean, it cost me a pretty penny to get, but it was so worth it, and the sound is amazing. I've been using that a lot to meditate. So that's been one of my star buys of the year. I bought a beautiful selenite decording knife as well, and that's pretty stunning. So yeah, crystals, yeah, I'm obsessed with crystals, and I think my partner kind of hates it because they're everywhere, and every time he walks through the door there's a new crystal somewhere where he thinks it should not be, like on the coffee table, or they're lying around on the sofas because I've been using them, and he sits down sometimes like crystals poking him in the ass because I've got crystals on the sofa. You know, even in bed, like we get into bed and I completely forget that I've been wearing a crystal in my bra, and then like this crystal just like falls out.
It's like, oh god damn
It's
it.
like, not another stone. So they're kind of everywhere. I've even had one that ended up in the washing machine. I don't know how it ended up there. I'm assuming it must have been in my pocket or something, and I've washed something and it's fallen out. So yeah, crystals.
So
I'm kind of obsessed.
So that was proper crystal cleaning then.
Yeah, detoxify my clothes with crystal magic.
Okay, so have there ever been any spells that you've wanted to cast, but when they've actually come through, it's not been the way that you wanted it?
Ooh, so you mean like a spell that I've cast that's been, that's worked, but not the way I've...
Yeah.
Unforeseen. Actually, there's been quite a few that have done that. So when I was in my youth and I was, first figuring out how to craft and design my own spells, you learn from mistakes. I cast a number of spells in my youth, and some of them worked out, really fantastically. Some of them even better than I could have imagined in really unusual ways. But the ones that kind of worked, but not the way I wanted, had some very strange results. I did one years ago for a friend of mine who was looking for his ideal career. And he'd studied, he'd done all his qualifications, he had lots of, skills, but he couldn't seem to find the right company to work for. So I designed a spell to manifest a job that would become available for him to earn on his own. So he went for the job and he got the job, but when he started the job was not at all what he thought it was going to be. It had the right pay, it had the right kind of equipment, and it had what he pretty much asked for, but the kind of work he was doing was not on something he wanted to do, and let's just say it was something very rude. So he ended up working a job he basically loved, but in an area he hated for about a year before he just could not do it anymore. And I almost feel quite bad for that, but then I don't at the same time, because he didn't actually tell me that there was a certain field he wanted to work in. He just gave me this was my qualifications, this was the kind of jobs I want from this, can you manifest one of those? So I did, but then obviously some jobs such as filming can be filming anything, and he didn't really... he didn't really think about what he could be filming and what he could be editing and what he could be working on. So, and before you asked, the person wasn't you; it was somebody else.
I would have been in that a lot. Yeah. Interesting. Oh no, most sought after spell.
Return my ex to me. I honestly, some days I feel if I get one more person ask me for their ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend back, I think I'm going to go insane. That spell, there's so many different things that people don't realise about love magic. It's such a massive, massive subject. And love magic is so dangerous, because you are messing with people's paths and energies, and you're asking to manifest, to draw somebody back into something that was once toxic. Because let's face it, guys, when you break up with somebody, there is usually a very, very good reason why that relationship has ended. And there's always one person in that relationship that obviously didn't want it to end, or they never really truly get over that person, or those energies are still very raw for them, so then they desire that person back, and then they come to people like me and they ask for a spell to return that person. And no matter how many times you tell them that person will only come if they desire to, if there's still that connection, they don't want to hear it. They just want that person guaranteed back. And some people even go as far as to say to me, I will do anything if you can make sure that person comes to me and never ever leaves me again. And you kind of think, oh, there's a line there, and they're prepared to cross that, and that's quite dangerous, I think. So that for me is the ultimate spell that I hate casting the most, because people don't really truly understand what they're asking for, and they don't understand what the spell entails, and they don't understand how it works, and also they don't understand that person, because that person has left their lives and has probably changed a lot in that time. I can tell a really quite an interesting story that happened to a friend of mine that begged me for a spell like this, and I cast it for her, and she kind of grated me down, wore me down into doing this spell. So I did it for her, and she got what she wanted. Her ex did come back, so the spell was very successful. They got back into a relationship, and for about 2 months there was bliss, happiness and love. But what she didn't realise was this person had actually changed fundamentally. They were not only a alcoholic, they were a thief, and they were also really badly addicted to drugs. So what was happening was that person became a dealer, and she ended up with drugs in her home, and he was dealing from her home. When she tried to approach him about it got quite abusive and nasty as well, and obviously because she couldn't get rid of him because they were tied together with this spell, they just kept coming together in this circle and cycle of negativity, and eventually he put her in hospital. I do have to say, guys, sadly he put her in hospital. He absolutely battered her, and that was, it's her request, it's what she wanted. She didn't realise how much he'd changed, and of course the result of that was something so toxic and negative. So, understand what you're asking for, understand the people as well that you're involving your spells. Think about all the angles and possibilities. Try and look at things from other people's perspective as well, and especially if there's kids involved in any scenario, that's another big thing to think about.
It's kind of bad. Like, obviously, you think that she would have kept check on him over time, or
I mean, for some people you can do that. I mean, where there's kids involved, often the parents are still in touch because they share custody, so there's some level of communication, so they understand each other's level, their lives and how it's developed. But for those who break up and there's no reason for that person to stick around, one partner usually completely disappears out of your life, and you can desire for that person to come back, but in the time they're gone, they've gone through so many changes. Perhaps they didn't handle the breakup like you thought, and that's how this other person I was referring to resorted to drugs and alcohol, and eventually ended up becoming a dealer, and then because of that ended up stealing as well and breaking the law. So it led to this horrible cycle for that other person, and then it was drawn back into my friend's life because she wanted it so desperately but hadn't really thought about consequences and the changes of that individual and what they've gone through. So sometimes spell work is more than one spell, it's multiple spells, and it's really understanding how people have changed and human connection. So that's important too, I think. Another fundamental lesson I've been learning is to really explain these spells to people, really make sure they understand what they're asking for, and that any side effects of the spell, such as what I've just described, is it's a side effect of what they've asked for, so they have to take that on board. There's consequences, and every action has a reaction.
Yes it does. Rounding up, one last question is what when you see TV shows and films and they do magic, do you just ever just go, no, that's not how it works?
Actually, I'm constantly shouting at the TV, and my partner's always going, it can't answer you back. It's not listening, it's a TV. I get quite frustrated with some shows. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of shows out there, guys, that get it right. They do their research really well. Supernatural is one show. They do a lot of research on the paranormal and the different monsters and mythical creatures out there, and when they incorporate them, they do use real laws in order to make the episode, so that was a nice touch. Obviously there's just as much in it that isn't real, but for those of us out there that have really studied magic and witchcraft and understand what's real and what isn't, when you're watching shows and you see that effort put in, that's nice. But there are obviously a lot of shows that are really, really not real. I get asked almost on a daily basis, can I turn people into vampires? I'm like, no. Yes, psychic vampirism is a thing, but I can't turn you into a blood-sucking vampire like Dracula. Okay, one really last one. Dream location to practice magic. Ooh, dream location to practice magic. Either Glastonbury or New Orleans. Because I'd love to be able to see Marie Laveau's grave and actually practice proper hoodoo magic over there, because I'm a big practitioner of hoodoo magic now. I incorporate a lot into my everyday craft, but it'd be nice to be able to practice in kind of one of the cities that birthed it. Hoodoo is something that was birthed from voodoo, Vundam magic, so it'd be really nice to go to the birthplace of it, meet some professionals in it, and meet some practitioners over there that are into it, into much more heavy degree than I am, and actually study and practice with them. That would be amazing. Yeah,
that's cool. Okay, so we're gonna leave it there because this video is quite long already and multiple batteries can't take the strain. So we're gonna leave it there. I don't know what you do for a sign off.
I just kind of go, thanks for watching, guys, love you all, be good to each other, bye. Also throw in if you like this sort of video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, give me the thumbs up,
and then check that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. That's normally mine. So thank you very much, guys. This will go up. All links in that will be in the description down below, so you can check out everything and stuff like that. And as things, Sharon, it's mine. Thanks. All right, bye.
Bye.